enforcing the law, in ensuring that members are safe.
Over 180 million people, one country, one capital, 36 states, 469 national assembly seats, 774 local government areas. This is Nigeria.
We should stop doing this play game. It's not really fighting corruption, it's fighting opponents, it's fighting those ones who won them in the past.
How well do you know the political terrain of Nigeria? Today, there is no such thing as keeping out of politics. All issues are political games, and we are the players.
Political Arena.
Wednesdays, 11:30 a.m.
On Women Radio.
On WFM 91.7.
Political Arena. Politicking at all levels.
All right, this is your Women Radio WFM 91.7, and it's about 28 minutes to 12 right here on this Wednesday morning. I hope your day is going on well, and I hope that the midweek is good for you already, as we're looking towards the end of this week. So yes, of course, it's 28th day in the month of January 2026, and you're welcome to the program Political Arena right here on Women Radio WFM 91.7. My name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser, and yes, I'm excited to come here and discuss politics with you as it relates to women on Women Radio. Okay, so today we're looking at Godfatherism in Nigerian politics and where does it leave women. All right, that's what we're looking at today on the program. Okay, so we're turning our attention to Godfatherism in Nigerian politics, which is a system that has continued to influence who gets access to power, party ticket, and political opportunities. Now, while this practice affects the political landscape broadly, many argue that women are disproportionately disadvantaged by it. So how does Godfatherism operate in Nigerian politics? Why does it pose a bigger challenge for women? And how can women succeed politically without the backing of powerful political godfathers? Okay, so now to help us unpack this important conversation, because we know that elections are around the corner, and for those who say, oh, if you have a godfather, you have made headway, or probably you have solved most of your issues. How then do we go about it? So together we'll get to explore this. I have a political analyst with me this morning, Adeton Adekogun. She has joined me. If you're an ardent listener of our daily news review on Fridays, you know that I had to, pick her from there and bring her here on the program so that we're able to hear, how this goes, how it operates, and how it gets to affect women, because you don't get to hear a lot of women with godfathers. You have few of them who probably, have this or know how to go about it, but a lot of women who come out to do, one campaign or the other, or come out for leadership positions are probably not backed by anybody. They just come out and want to have a chance to do the right thing. So yeah, we're going to be talking about this with Adeton. Hi, Adeton. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Rose. Thank you for having me.
We'll definitely love to hear from you. Where does, the issue of godfatherism in Nigerian politics leave women? Where does it leave women? Do you agree that women have godfathers too, or they don't? Let's get to hear from you. All right, so do want to be a part of the conversation by dialing 07000 917 917 or 09155 917 917. You can go ahead and, of course, let's get to hear from you through WhatsApp and text messages on 070 317 56537 or 08155 917 917. We are live on YouTube. Please do well to go on and watch us at WFM 917 and listen to us from any part of the world at www.wfm917.com. This is Political Arena right here on Women Radio WFM 91.7. My name is Rose, and I have Adeton with me this morning on the program. So let's get into the conversation proper. Now, Adeton, you've been, an analyst with us for so long, and I'm sure that, the issue of godfatherism has definitely come up. And so far, looking at our political space, we know the effect of godfatherism. Today you see a governor that will come in and the governor will tell you that, oh, I am going to bring up somebody that will take over me. Or even the governor that is coming in probably has affiliation with one vice president, one somebody or there's somebody in the background who just sponsoring and just say yes, you can do it, and that person is going to do all he can to see that his candidate or whoever he's pushing through gets to that seat of power. Now, it could be that when the person gets there, if the person is able to serve his own interest, maybe he's able to regain all of the money, the investment he made on this person, or a lot of dynamics that plays out. But let me hear your thoughts as regards to Godfatherism as a political system. And how does this function in our Nigerian politics, especially as at today, and how influential it has become, in determining our political outcomes?
Well, interesting. The question you asked me, just takes us back, down memory lane. As far as I can remember, since 1999, that democracy started, we've seen how Godfatherism has played its part, when it comes to politics in Nigeria. It's so powerful. It's really entrenched into our political system. I would say that if you even look at the politics in Nigeria, it looks like it's taking a larger role, whether it has to do with bringing up political parties or bringing up individuals that can, represent any political party as candidates in any election. It's actually the body of what our political structure is, and it has so much hold, on how our political terrain, is moving, the direction is moving. You cannot, overemphasize the importance or the benefit as well as the disadvantages of Godfatherism in Nigerian politics. I call them kingmakers in politics because it means that they influence the political system largely. They are individuals who not just influence it with their wealth, but even in decision making, in selection of candidates, in getting to the nitty-gritty of involving themselves in a lot of electoral malpractices because they actually want their preferred candidate to, win the election. And so they are really a major force to contend with. And when you look back, since 1999 till now, we still have Godfatherism making, so much impact on our political system. When you talk about the power play, the control of political outcomes, the subversion of democratic process, they are, largely involved in that. There are so many, case studies that we can pinpoint. And I looked at majorly 14 states in Nigeria. I had to go back, to the archives, and I saw that out of those 14 states, we only had 2 instances of women who had godfathers, and to which that really made impact in their political career. But out of those 14 states, largely we had cases of men, who were involved in Godfatherism, either as godfathers or godsons. So you can see from 14 states, you just have 2 cases of women, and the others are just majorly cases of men, and then the power struggle, maintaining influence, even when they leave office, it continues like that, especially where the godfather, the godfather is insisting control, and the godson is saying, I'm going to actually pull out, from your control. And so we've seen, just as we are seeing right now, presently, in the case of Rivers and all that. So we've had a lot of issues when it comes to Godfatherism, but majorly, you see it centered on the male politicians. They are the ones neck deep in this particular trend, as well as candidates representing, different states and political parties. So it is a major, player when it comes to our political system. And, I was just looking at the different methods to which this Godfatherism, comes into our political system. You talk about imposition of candidates. That is the major case that we have. And what happens, the implication of that is that you have political instability, you have underdevelopment, and then, of course, you have political violence. So all this comes, with Godfatherism. In as much as we say they are the financials, they are the big wigs, they are the ones that throw in a lot of weight behind candidates, financially and otherwise, we also have to look at, majorly the disadvantages that come with it and how it has affected our democracy and how it has affected our political system. So yes, it is a major issue that we have to continue to talk about as long as politics in Nigeria is, generally concerned.
Okay. So that means we are saying it's not a matter of when will Godfatherism end, but it's a matter of how do we channel this into good use, not just for them, but for every other
Mm-hmm.
person.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is your Women Radio WFM 91.7, and this is the program Political Arena, where we are discussing about Godfatherism and how this gets to affect the outcomes of, political systems, political games, like we would like to call it, especially in regards to women. Now, let's look at Godfatherism and how this tend to be a disadvantage to women more than men when it comes to political participation and leadership. Because you mentioned that, going back and some of the things that you checked, you just have few women who had godfathers who were able to push them. And then when it comes to picking candidates, normal, safe. If you want to look and read their data, would there be a godfather that would just wake up one morning and say, let me pick this woman? And then, see her through till the end of, the campaigns and see her through all her leadership, time frame that she has to serve the people. Let me be there as a guide and, and just try to push her on. Why do we see that disadvantage happening when it comes to, political participation and leadership?
Just as you said, can someone just wake up to be a godfather to someone? It is actually possible, and we've seen it. I have cases of where a father who happens to be a godfather, decided to back his daughter up. I think I mentioned. That's why it's called Godfatherism. So you can be a godfather to anybody, even to your own daughter. I look at the case of Olusola Saraki, who is actually a godfather to his daughter, Gbemisola, and Saraki. And then we had the case of Yabo Obasanjo as well. And when you look at these peculiar cases, you find out that their fathers are really, really involved in the politics of Nigeria. And they got the backing that they needed. So it's not just for outsiders or okay, this person is just my political associate and all that. So they try as much as possible that where they see the advantage, they try to come in there. So if the person or the political candidate is their own daughter, of course they give the necessary backing. If it has to do with an associate, they are ready to jump on it and say, okay, I will be your political godfather. So what it really means is that it has nothing to do with who the person is. It just has to do with the interest that person has in that particular candidate. What are the benefits that you will get from, if my daughter is there, what comes to me? If I know a long-time friend that I can actually put there, or the daughter of so person, what benefit is it to me? So they are seeing it from an advantageous position. So it's something that they have a thought about, and then they give their backing. And when they do that, I'm telling you, it will be very difficult for you to remove their hands, because these are people that are not just political big wigs for nothing. There are people that they have experience in politics in Nigeria, and they know, what are the strategies to use? How did they come in? And most of them also are founders of some political parties in Nigeria. There are also some of them who have been in politics for way back, as we can remember, probably maybe the days of Awolowo, or even those that are, really into the political system or the structures in Nigeria. They make the decisions largely. I've seen cases where you find a godfather, turning the election results to favor him. And that's why we said that a lot of it comes with imposition of candidates. They even get knee deep into the outcomes of the elections overall, because they know and they have studied the electoral process in Nigeria. At the same time, they can even decide to say, we are the ones that will put the INEC chairman there. We are the ones that will put this one there. So they really look at the scene and they are able to dictate, this is what we want. Don't forget that they are dictating not just with their wealth, but they're also dictating with their influence on the political structure in Nigeria. So they have a stronghold. So when it comes to waking up to say, I want to be a political godfather to somebody, they've already calculated it. They know the strategy. They know what can come in. Even if it's going to take political violence, they don't mind, because these are brains behind our political system, and they have a lot of powers. They have a leverage that they can use at their disposal. And if you are going to take that from them, it's going to take a lot, Because what it also means that you want to dine with the devil, be ready to go to war with the devil, not just using a long spoon, be ready to go with war with the devil. So it's something that we will continue to have these conversations, but how do we manage it as regards to women is what we are now going to really be able to dissect and see how we can separate these issues.
Okay. Now let's look at prioritizing loyalty and allegiance. When we want to look at that, because when you talk about Godfatherism, it's about the person who you are pushing coming back with loyalty, coming back with saying, if it's not you, I have to do it by your own bidding. Now, does that not mean that we're prioritizing, loyalty and allegiance over being competent and being able to deliver and have the people in mind, especially in the case of women candidates? Now, we'll just match this with you. And do you realistically, see that women can actually, succeed in our political sphere in Nigeria? Do you see us succeeding without, having the kingmakers, and the godfathers around us as women?
Okay, let me start by saying that Godfatherism generally, favors men than women. That is a known fact, just as the case studies of what I gave to you. So men are more deep into it and they are more favored, because of course the men can go through the route of, interfacing with their godfathers than women. When it comes to security situation, women are, they are very cautious, because they know that these godfathers will still continue to have an hold, whether they like it or not, even if they leave office and all that. So they have that controlling power. And then Godfatherism also favors patriotic system in Nigeria, as we've said it. It's more like, this game is just, solely for men. They are the ones that can play the dark games of the devil. So you will see that it reinforces the patriotic system. At the same time, it favors more men than women. Also, when you look at the trend in terms of merit and loyalty, of course, this, if I look at the experiences or what we've had in our political terrain over the years, at some point you might have loyalty more favored than merit, and that comes in different angles. You would have unqualified candidates in position, you will have loyalty being rewarded, you will have, of course, a lot of stipend in innovation or underdevelopment in those places, because a godfather is trying to impose his own candidate. So he doesn't care about the people, he doesn't care about development of the people. He is after what is my benefit after I've given, my backing to this person, and what is my reward. So he favors loyalty of that godson or that daughter or the goddaughter over merit. And we've said that politics largely should be government of the people, by the people, for the people. That's what democracy is all about. But when it comes to Godfatherism, these are some of the disadvantages you get. It is no longer government for the people, where a godfather is imposing his own candidate. It's not about government working for the people, because he's saying, I am the one that will determine the outcome of the election. I am the one that will determine what goes in, what resources goes where, what biddings go to, so what project goes to this angle, or what resources go to the development of a particular place, because he is the godfather and he has put someone there to listen to him. Of course, they say who dictates who plays the pipe. Of course, you know that the piper will definitely dictate. He will even dictate the tone, not just giving you the pipe to play. He will dictate the tone, and that's basically what godfathers do. So the patriarchy system is generally being put into play on a larger scale, because it's more like godfathers and godson. They are the ones, playing the route. There has a lot of, it brings a lot of disadvantages to the women, because we are saying, how do we reduce patriotic system? And with godfatherism, it's going to increase. Now, we are talking about, underrepresentation of women. How do we do that when godfatherism is there? They are the ones dictating. I would prefer a male governor than a female governor. That is what godfathering is saying. He's saying that, and the quota system or the party system does not work with me, because I am the brain behind what the outcome of candidates that is being brought out from a political party is. I am the one that dictates. So if we have 5 men versus maybe 4 women, I would prefer we have more men in that political structure vying for a political position than having a woman or women contending with men. So the idea of this patriarchy pays a lot of advantage to them than it is for the party, that it is for the people of a particular community or a state. Now, we also look at it that in particular, it's actually going to marginalize women. And what it means is that we've been talking about 35% affirmative action. We've been talking about the reserve seat for women. How does this come in when we have a godfather playing a major part in candidate selection? In his role, even in the party, right from the primaries down to where the final candidate is being decided. So they make the decisions. They are the ones largely controlling and having dominance on the political parties, as well as the outcomes of the political, outcome of elections and all that. Then the structure also, they are the ones in charge of the political structure. That is what it means. They might give a woman, some sort of small roles. You play this role, But when it comes to the decision table, they don't want women there. They want men there because they are the ones controlling everything that comes into the party. And then we also look at it when it comes to financial aspects of politics in Nigeria. How do we get more women to come into participating in politics? Because the men are the ones bringing much of the wealth, much of the money, when it comes to expression of interest or even having a chance to, to contest or vie for a position. So where do women come in when we have the godfathers determine, it's going to be 20 million, it's going to be 30 million? For a woman to have that sort of money, that kind of money, she needs the backing of a male. She needs a woman that has even more than a particular male. So we don't really have those women, but those that we have, are they willing to stay as backup for our women to go into politics? So there are so many things that involve. Then we also come back to the electoral reforms. Largely, with all the successes here and there, we still have a long way to go. When it comes to political reforms, it's not even favoring women as at this moment, from what we can see. So there's need to have the electoral reform that will favor women as well. And of course, I've mentioned the financial part of it. Let's begin to have more increased funding for women at all angles. Let's not just leave it to the men and say, they are the ones with the money. Let's begin to even, when we have godfathers, the opposite should be, godmothers. Where are they? Let them begin to bring in their money so that women don't have to be at the beck and call of godfathers alone. They also have women who are financially capable that can give them the backing that is necessary. And then we've talked about reducing nomination. As I mentioned, I think godfathers will prefer males than females. I know I think during the 2019 election, we had some people, some political parties or individuals who were able to give women financial funding. We even had some groups and associations, community, women who gave some women some backing. But how can we sustain that? Politics in Nigeria is financially a burden to those that do not have, or even as women in politics. And then also, if you look at the fact that we are also looking at, can we have independent candidacy? It's really going to be tough, because that in a way would help more women get in there. But as I said, it is a game of who has the highest financial backing. And that's where most times women are meant to just sit back. If you talk about thuggery, if you talk about violence, can women go through all that? Compared to when you have godfathers and godsons battling it out. How many women want to put their lives online, to go through that struggle of, my godfather wants it, I don't want it. And, it's life-threatening as well. So these are some of the issues that I've identified when it comes to godfatherism and how can women, navigate through. Of course, there are some solutions that we are going to look at, apart from the ones I've mentioned. But when you look at it, controlling the politicians, dictating their actions, the decisions on the table while in office and even before they get into office, the power struggle, the power play, the sponsorship financially, all has to come with godfatherism. How many, women do we have that can go through all that process to get to where they want to get to?
Okay, thank you very much, Adito. I just feel like time is not even enough to finish up with this. But I think, one of these days we'll bring you back so that we can look at solutions very well, critically, and look at how we can position women, even, like the mothers that you talked about. Can we start pulling them out and see that we have this set of people, since we now know that we can't totally rule out Godfatherism when it comes to politics, especially in Nigeria, as we have, then can we have like a support base or support system for women, when they come out for all of these leadership positions? But this is where we'll, put a stop to it for today. Hopefully we get to have you come back and then we discuss a part two of this and look at how we can position women better in terms of, elections, nominations, and that's how last week we were talking on the same program. We spoke about, is it Ebonyi State right now, who pegged their local government nomination forms at 30 million naira. So I'm not wondering, nomination 30 million, then what will not happen to governor? Can we be coming down? And this is just, and so how do you expect a woman to raise this? And before we could even say Jack Robinson said, one of the sons of the former governor also had already bought a ticket. So you when they sit down there, they struggle, say when money where you go, person already buy her. And that's because there's backing. You get so can we begin to look at all of these issues? But thank you so much, Adito, for coming on today. One of these days we'll bring you back so that we can have, continue from this and look at solutions holistically to see how we can position women better. Do well to have a great day, Adito, and enjoy the rest of the week. If you want to stay with us at 12 is the news. At 1 we'll have lunch vibes, and of course at 3 we'll have Nawoma Mata. This is your Women Radio WFM 91.7. My name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser. Good morning.